In 2019, the UP police launched a program where certain service members, certain cops, would be rewarded for a specific act. The question to our audience is, what policy or what rewards program did the UP police launch in 2019? And what did the cops have to do if they wanted to be awarded that particular reward? This is the audience question, and we will tell you the answer at the end of the episode. Welcome to episode 140 of Are You Quizzing Me? Here's the intro music.
Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I am Vineet Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing.
All right, welcome back to this episode of Are You Quizzing Me? And since I'm the one introducing you to it, you know that there's a guest who's joining us. But before I introduce the guest, a quick shout out to the person who answered the social media audience question of a previous episode 139 on Instagram. The question was a visual question. It was the picture of a family, a father, a mother, and a son and a daughter. Question was, identify this American inventor and business magnate who named her invention after her children. The person who answered it first was revolver_1966_. So this person, I'm not sure what their name is, but cool Instagram handle. And they correctly identified it as being the picture of Ruth Handler. Ruth Handler, the inventor of Barbie dolls. She named her invention, Barbie doll, after her daughter Barbara. And of course, the accompanying male doll, Ken, was named after her son, Kenneth. So Ruth Handler, along with her husband, Elliot Handler, was the creator of Barbie dolls named after her kids. Well done, revolver_1966_. Very, very quick answer. I believe in a matter of seconds, the answer was posted. So yeah, pretty impressive. And there were a bunch of other visual questions as well that were answered by quite a few people. So yeah, thank you so much for participating in this. There will be the smack and the accompanying visual connections with this episode as well. So go check it out if you haven't on Instagram. And now, our guest for today, Rajiv D'Silva. He leads the Goa-based architecture and design firm Studio 1573, is also a self-professed bird enthusiast, and is very well known in the Goa quizzing circuit as an exceptional quizmaster. We first had him on as a guest on this podcast for episode 64 and 65, and he contributed to episode 100 as well. Rajiv, thank you so much for coming back to this podcast. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. How long ago was that? A couple of years, possibly?
You were one of the first guests that we had, and I remember Vineet was very excited.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And he kept telling me that he looks up to you so much as a quizzer.
Well, I don't know about that.
Both you and Annie, two people that he just couldn't stop raving about. Annie and you, and he's like, Rajiv has these fun bits of trivia that you would never expect, and then Annie phrases his questions in such interesting ways.
And Annie was also on the podcast, I think a couple of weeks later or something like that, right?
He was, yeah. So we had to bring him on as well, because I was like, this was too good an opportunity to miss up on. So thank you for coming back, and you know what, I'm not gonna waste any more time, and let's get to the fun part of it. Why don't you start us off, Rajiv, with the question that you have?
So having done this a couple of years ago, whatever time back it was, one of the things I've realized is that this format that you and Vineet do it's a little different from our normal quizzing format.
Yeah.
I think it allows you to set different sorts of questions. I think when we are normally setting questions in a quiz, we try to put in all the clues and everything into that one 3 or 4 lines or something like that.
Yeah.
But what I've realized is that in this format, you can layer the clues.
Right.
what you do is that you can ask multiple times and answer multiple times. So I think maybe I'm trying this time to take advantage of the format a little bit that you and Vineet do.
Amazing.
So one of the things about, as you know, Aditya, about setting questions is that there's always this little doubt. Is this funda already well known? Or do people already know this?
Yes.
So there's always a hope that, okay, this is not a known thing and people can work it out. But one runs the risk of asking something that everybody already knows. Anyway, so I'll start off with what is, I think, kind of a topical question. Emergency medical technicians, EMTs, particularly in North America, who are being trained how to administer CPR. They are taught to repeat which line which might be familiar to you from another context.
I think I've heard of a few things which might fit the bill. Usually it is a pop song so that they can keep the tempo of whatever you're supposed to, the rate at which you're supposed to be doing the compressions, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
Doing the compressions to kickstart the heart. And if I'm not wrong, it was the Bee Gees' Staying Alive that they're supposed to be doing it to. Is that the tempo?
Yeah. So that's a good guess because that is also related to, but that's not right in this case.
Okay.
It is also related to CPR, but that's to keep the tempo.
Right. Yeah.
If they sing "Staying Alive," then they get the beats per minute or whatever. But they keep repeating is a certain line. They're not singing; it's just a line that they have to keep repeating. It's part of their training.
Okay.
But you are right. This is a pop culture question.
Interesting. Okay. So I'm assuming they're not trying to gauge whether the patient is responding. It's not one of those technical kind of questions like, oh, can you hear me?
Well, surprisingly, it is kind of, yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So it is in a way to test something to do with the patient. It's along those lines. It is also pop culture connect, you said. And the tempo part we already eliminated. So it's not that. I'm assuming that it has to do with some sort of like gauging whether the person is conscious or not.
Yes. So you're thinking along the right lines. And so I'll give you an additional clue at this stage. Usually when they're being taught CPR, they're performing on a dummy.
Yeah.
Does that ring any bells? Or does that give you any additional clue as to what it might be?
Okay, interesting. Doing it on a dummy. No, I can't think of anything. Oh.
So, okay, I'll give you another clue then.
Please.
This is a quizzing funda wrapped in a quizzing funda.
Okay.
So the dummy has a name.
Yes. I know this. This is some. I want to say some John Doe kind of situation, and I'm having some vague recollection of France being involved. Somebody who died in the Seine or something, drowned and died, and then they were. I don't know why my head is going in different directions. But yes, there is a name that is attached to this particular dummy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is it a French name? Am I right in thinking French? Is there a French connection there?
There is a French connection in the sense the face of the dummy was modeled on the, which you rightly referred to. A body was fished out of the Seine and they modeled the face on the face of that.
Correct, yeah.
But they also gave it a name which was not French. So the standard CPR dummy is actually called Annie.
Right. Okay, yeah.
So what would the line be then?
Oh, is it? Oh my God! You have found my biggest weakness that Vineet exploits all the time. My knowledge of English songs is woefully lacking.
Okay. You need to have a little bit of knowledge of English songs.
Yeah, some song lyric with Annie in it.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, it's the line that they repeat. They repeat while administering CPR is "Annie, are you okay?"
Oh, okay. Which song is that from?
So this is one of Michael Jackson's most famous songs called Smooth Criminal, in which he repeats, "Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?"
Oh my God.
You know, that you heard it, right?
This is exceedingly embarrassing. And you said it's topical. I watched Michael like a week ago.
That's why it's topical, yeah.
And I've been listening to the music. It's just...
Oh, yeah, correct.
Oh, Annie, are you okay? Oh, that's so cool. So they repeat that line again and again.
So since you watched the movie, you must know, and from Michael Jackson's life a little bit, that he was exceedingly fond of hospitals. He was always in and out of hospitals, either for his own treatment, because he liked to visit patients there. right? So, and apparently on one of his visits, he stumbled upon a CPR demo and they were saying, Annie, are you okay? So he took that line and he built a whole song around it.
Oh.
Yes, the CPR routine line was the foundation of his song "Smooth Criminal."
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool. That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah. I think one of my favorite pieces of trivia has to do with we have discussed this on an episode where the Super Bowl halftime show, where he had some sort of a cue that he had given to the technician that when I put on my shades, I wanted to play the music.
And he delayed it for
took his own sweet time, like 2 minutes of just standing there.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and he knew that he commanded the audience with that.
Yeah.
That was probably the first halftime show that launched the idea of halftime show being the big deal, right?
I don't know, broke some records and things.
So cool. I love that.
Okay, so now we go to do one of yours, right?
Yep. All right, my turn. Since we are doing something to do with pop culture, we were stateside. So I'm going to stick to America, do something which is pop culture and which is topical also, I guess. And that's enough of a segues. There is a play called Agamemnon, which was written in 458 BCE, before Common Era. The title character of Agamemnon returns from Troy and he's greeted by his wife. I'm probably going to mispronounce the name, but it spells something close to Clytemnestra, something like that, yeah. Clytemnestra. Clytemnestra sounded wrong also.
Yeah.
Okay. Clytemnestra, the wife of Agamemnon, greets him when he comes back from Troy.
Yeah.
There ensues in the play a couple of lines which describes something that she has done for him in anticipation of his return. And he is a little worried about the fact that she has made this gesture. He compares it to the fatal conceit that human beings sometimes have of being compared to gods. However, he ends up kowtowing to her demands, and that does not end too well for him. Yes, that's a brief description of what happens in that scene. This has given rise to, over the years, over the centuries, over the millennium rather, has given rise to a pop culture staple in our life today. Something that happens across the world, but definitely in the US of A. So my question is, what happens in this particular scene? What has Clytemnestra done in anticipation of her husband's return, which till date is practiced in a similar context, but without, of course, the tragic consequences?
Oh, interesting. Okay, let me try and figure out. Okay, my first instinct is I have no clue what this is. But, so he returns from the war and the wife is waiting and says, I have done something for you. And he's kind of taken aback, but he still says, okay, fine, something like that.
Yeah.
It ends in tragedy, okay.
But that part is irrelevant because in today's context, there's no tragedy attached to it. But in the case of the play, yes, there is a tragic element to it.
Well, my first guess is I'm probably wrong and a little ridiculous, but is it something to do with the phrase break a leg before a play?
I think break a leg comes from ballet, if I'm not wrong.
Something else, yeah. Correct.
And it has that context of basically thwarting the evil spirits by saying something unlucky.
Correct,
the unlucky thing doesn't happen. There is that idea to it. And break a leg would be, in the context, would be said before you commence on a journey or you do something important. In this case, he's returning from Troy.
Yeah, correct. Okay, you have to give me another clue, otherwise I can't work this out.
All right. The modern version of this, the modern reimagining of this, can be traced back to 1902. So at the turn of the century, 1902, the New York Central Railroad had launched this newfangled thing called 20th Century Limited, right? It was the turn of the 20th century and they had launched this particular service and it was meant to attract the posh and the rich people, right? The New York Central Railroad. They kind of gave new life to the same practice that was referenced in the question, that was done in Agamemnon, the play. So that's my second clue.
Okay, so this is on a railroad. But they launched something for their customers or their passengers, basically.
Yeah, they were targeting the bourgeoisie, the rich, and to give that sort of vibe that, this is something fancy that you are going to be a part of. Let's say they reimagined that same practice from the Greek play.
Man, I cannot think what this is. Again, I'll go with a weak guess. Let's put it. Is it like something like a menu card or something? So on their dining cars, a menu card where you can kind of just choose whatever you want.
That's a fair guess. I think my last clue should help you, because the reason you're probably also not able to narrow down the potential answers, because I said it is in pop culture, so that's too wide. I'll narrow it down further for you, and this probably should help you. The biggest way that it became popular and is in current context used was with the 1922 premiere of the film Robin Hood, which starred Douglas Fairbanks, a name that was very popular in that decade in Hollywood, at the Egyptian Theatre in LA. So that is probably the most modern context of this practice that is done. So now you can think of something to do with celebrities, films, film premiere. That should lead you to the answer.
Okay, I think I have a reasonable guess. Is it the red carpet tradition?
Indeed, it is the idea of laying out the red carpet.
Okay, the red carpet.
Exactly.
So in the Greek play, did she do it with her own blood? Is that what it is?
No, I don't think there was her own blood involved in it. There was some red paint or red color or red dye that she used.
Okay, because you said it ended in tragedy.
I'll tell you what the context of it. So the lines in the play translated basically are, "Now, dearest husband, come, step from your chariot, but do not set to earth my lord the conquering foot that trod down Troy. Servants, do as you have been bidden, make haste, carpet his way with crimson tapestries." So the crimson tapestry, red carpet, that was the idea. And it was supposed to be something which honored him almost at the level of a god, right? And Greek plays often have this idea of if human beings make the mistake of comparing themselves to God, they are faced with tragedy. I think soon thereafter, he dies.
Okay.
So initially, he's a bit reluctant. She insists. He walks on that particular tapestry, and then he dies soon thereafter in the play. This is the oldest known mention of the idea of laying out a red carpet in that context to welcome someone.
Okay, interesting.
In 1902, when New York Central Railroad launched their 20th Century Limited passenger train, they were hoping to invite a very posh crowd.
They had a red carpet.
So they had a red carpet at the boarding point of the train.
Right.
So the rich people of New York would not have to walk on the dusty paths, and they would be able to
okay, interesting.
enter with their shoes clean. And the Hollywood connection, or the celebrity connection, like you very easily cracked, was started with the movie Robin Hood in 1922. Since then, it has become pretty mainstream. I think it was only in the last 3-4 decades that phrase became popular of "who are you wearing?"
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I'm forgetting the name of the first person who asked that question.
Google and see.
Yeah, this is for our audience to go Google. But yeah, there's one particular reporter who started asking, "Who are you wearing?" And that became a thing.
Yeah, correct.
And the reason I said it is topical because the Met Gala just happened, and of course everybody is talking about what people wore, what the Indian celebrities were wearing. So yeah, that's my question. All right, Rajiv, back to you.
So I will do. This should be actually a simple question. So let's see. Okay, I mean it's one of those things about phrases that we use all the time, and maybe don't give it too much thought, right, about where it came from. So I mean we use the phrase "on the dot" a lot. On the dot. So that phrase "on the dot" refers to a dot where?
Oh man, this is exactly the kind of question I love. It just makes me reevaluate my entire life, because I use phrases without ever knowing what the meaning.
Yeah.
Because of the context of it, I assumed it is that mark which marks out the minute on the clock. That would have been my most obvious guess, that it's right at that minute, right at the second.
Well, your obvious guess is obviously very correct.
Oh, is it?
Well done, Aditya. You got it right on the first guess.
Oh.
It refers to the dot on the minute, the minute hand goes and sits on. So,
Okay.
so on the dot means you are there exactly on time. So 3 o'clock on the dot or 3:15 on the dot means that the hand will be exactly on the dot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So well done. You got it on first shot.
Got lucky there, but okay. Great. Fantastic. You know what? You want to ask another question? That was a quick one. You want to go for another question?
Why not? Okay, so let's do another kind of topical one. I mean, it's not topical because it's current, but it's topical because it's about Iran. And Iran is so much in the news nowadays. Okay, so a little bit of a longish question, so you'll have to listen carefully.
All right.
So in the months after the 1979 Islamic revolution that overthrew the Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, that we've kind of read about a lot, a student group called the Muslim Student Followers of the Imam's Line laid siege to the US Embassy in Tehran, where the CIA, who controlled the Shah, were headquartered.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they wanted to capture the embassy because the CIA was headquartered and basically the US State Department and all the US people were in there after the Shah had already fallen. So eventually, when the embassy was stormed and captured by the students, which also led to the very famous Iran hostage crisis, they found that they were faced with a problem. In a sense, they had a little bit of they wanted to do something and they couldn't do it because of something. And they solved that by putting to work scores of members of a profession that they happen to have in plenty. Carpet weavers. So what did the students call carpet weavers to do once they had captured the US Embassy?
Oh, interesting. Okay, first when you said that they wanted to achieve something but were unable to, I thought the obvious guess would be like some sort of translation issue to be able to communicate and to make their whatever demands to the Americans. But carpet weavers then has to be something else. This is because I love the film Argo.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure there's references to it.
Yeah, there is a scene in that, and I don't know if they mention the profession of carpet weavers in it, but it kind of makes sense. I'm going to take that guess. I think they wanted to figure out the shredded documents. So were they trying to get the carpet weavers to put it back together, the shredded documents, piece it back together somehow?
That is exactly right. Well done, Aditya, again. Yes. So basically this, in the last few hours, I mean, there's a long story. I think that's been well documented. The CIA wanted to destroy all the documents because outlined exactly what they had done.
Right, of course, yeah.
And the first developed some malfunction, so they couldn't burn it. Burning would have been easy. So they started shredding everything.
Ah, right.
And then the carpet weavers with their very nimble fingers were called in to piece together the shreds of documents to, put it together because, they're used to deal with that kind of thing. So well done. So you've got 2 on 2 on first attempt. Now I think we should do one of yours.
Fantastic. Okay, that was a fun question. And I remember it just because of the movie Argo, and that is a fun movie. So, hey, pop culture recommendation in the middle of the episode.
Yeah.
Moving on. Let's preface this question by just testing the waters. How familiar are you with American baseball?
Not very. I might know some basic fundas, but I wouldn't know who's the greatest player. Oh, I mean, I know Mickey Mantle and whoever else, A-Rod and all these people, but not a lot.
All right.
But give it to me. Let's see.
Fair enough. The reason I ask is also because very often there is some topic which people are so well versed with that it becomes one of those questions, no point even asking because they're going to crack it in a second.
No. This is not one of those for me.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. I should be curious to find out what your topics are, but let's get to that later. Let's do this question first. I'm going to tell you the first name of this baseball player to start off, and maybe later I might give you his last name as a clue. So, Lawrence was an American professional baseball catcher, and he eventually became a manager and a coach as well. He played 19 seasons in Major League Baseball. This is in the 40s, the 50s, and a little bit into the 60s as well. And for the most part, he was part of New York Yankees. So these names should be familiar. Major League Baseball, New York Yankees. Most people know of them even if they don't follow, right? He was an 18-time All-Star, won 10 World Series championships as a player, more than any other player in MLB history. So a very decorated, very talented baseball player. He was given a nickname by his friend Jack McGuire, who saw a newsreel about India. And then he looked at Lawrence and said that you resemble X, X being the nickname, you resemble X whenever you are sitting and waiting for your turn to go down to the pitch. So when he's sitting and waiting, he resembles X, and that's where Lawrence got the nickname X. Even for people who are not well versed with baseball, you might still know of this because he allegedly, because there was no official confirmation, he allegedly inspired a very famous cartoon character as well. So you just have to tell me what the nickname X was, which also eventually inspired, unofficially, there's no official confirmation for this, but unofficially inspired a very famous cartoon character.
Well, before you said cartoon character, I had already kind of thought what my guess would be based on what you had said before that of sitting and waiting for his turn. But now I can't think of any character that would be based on that. But I'll still go with my first guess. Was he called the Buddha something?
Very close, very close. It is in that realm of things. Not Buddha, obviously, but in that realm of things. You're pretty close. Yeah.
Okay, so not the Buddha, but somebody who sits, and somebody related to India who sits calmly and waits like the Buddha.
Correct.
Well, the only other one is Mahavir or something like that. Who else waits?
So don't think of a specific person.
Oh,
It's not a specific person.
like a yogi or something.
Yeah. X is Yogi. You got it that right.
Oh, so this is Yogi Berra. Okay, he was Lawrence Berra.
Exactly.
I didn't know that that's how he got his name, Yogi Berra.
Lawrence Peter Berra, who was actually, when he was born, he was named Lorenzo Berra.
Right.
Lawrence Berra was this decorated baseball player, more World Series championships than anybody else in the history of the game. Yada, yada, yada. So many records to his name. He was told by his friend Jack McGuire that whenever you sit and wait for your turn to go down, you look a little sad for some reason, somber, and you have your arms and legs crossed. So he had just seen a documentary about India, and he was like, you know what, you're a yogi. So that's where he got the name Yogi Berra from. And then when the cartoon character which came out around the same time, people allege, and Hanna-Barbera have apparently off the record said that it was based off of him.
Yogi Berra, yeah.
But on the record, there's no confirmation. So Yogi, because he was a pretty well-known, commonly known household, everybody would be familiar with him kind of name.
Yeah.
Yogi Berra, I think the parallels were just right there.
Yeah. It is obvious. Yeah. I didn't think of Yogi Berra, yeah.
He almost sued them because he was like, oh, you know what, you're using my name and for whatever the popularity.
Oh, so he wasn't happy with it, is it? I thought he would be kind of flattered or something.
He considered suing it. He didn't do it. And he has a reputation for being this flippant kind of guy. So I imagine eventually he didn't really care that much also.
Okay.
But yeah, at some point he had considered suing it, but eventually he decided not to. And Hanna-Barbera kept claiming on the record that was a coincidence. So most people agree that it probably wasn't.
Yeah.
The last fun piece of trivia attached to this is that Berra's obituary in the Associated Press initially said, and there was a typo, that Yogi Bear had died. So when Yogi Berra passed away, in the typo it said Yogi Bear had passed away.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the Yogi Bear. And in case anybody doesn't know, Yogi Bear is a very famous Hanna-Barbera cartoon. It's been around since the late 1950s, 60s. And it was sponsored by Kellogg's, by the way, when it first came out. So it had that association as well. So that's the Yogi Bear connection. All right, Rajiv, your turn.
Okay, this is an interesting one. Also, this is slightly NSFW.
All right, let's go.
Nothing bleepable. I've kept it family friendly. The words, the ideas will form in your head, I guess.
All right.
So in 1985, a farmer named I'm trying to pronounce as best I can. A farmer named Dorde Martinovich was indulging in what has been described as an act of self-satisfaction.
Okay.
In his field, on the outskirts of a small European town called, again, I'm trying to pronounce this European town called Yilan. Yilan, it is Gjilan.
Okay, got it.
That's not particularly relevant. It just maybe gives you a clue as to think where it could be.
Okay.
So basically, he owned a field and he was walking in his field and he stuck a stick into the ground and then stuck an empty half-liter glass sparkling water bottle, glass bottle on top of that stick. And then basically he sat on it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. Bold man.
And he must have been enjoying it. He must have been enjoying it a bit too much because eventually the bottle broke.
Ooh. Oh, God.
Broke under pressure. And he was left with a broken glass bottle stuck up his rectum, basically. So,
Sure.
if you're wondering where this is leading, you'll be surprised where it led to. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know where this trivia is leading.
So he was taken to the nearest hospital, obviously, bleeding profusely.
Mm-hmm.
This incident led eventually to which or what major event of the 20th century?
This incident led to, oh God.
It did, actually. This is one of our, this is one of the fun things about being a quizmaster and quizzer is that occasionally you'll find these kind of facts which are just so mind-blowing that, wow, like you would never have known otherwise. But this is one of those, I think.
Oh, man.
So, man pleasuring himself in his field caused what major event of the 20th century? Snowball effect and all that.
Sure. No, because my first guess would have been something like, but yeah, this is too late for that. I thought it would be something medical in nature. They discovered something about the human body, but I think 20th century for something that simple to be discovered is a little late. So and you said it's something major, so I'm assuming it's geopolitical in nature rather than physiological in nature.
That is right. So it is geopolitical, not physiological or scientific or something like that.
You didn't specify which country, right?
No, I did not.
Okay. Martinovic. I'm trying to place it ethnically with that name. Grigorovich. It sounds. It's either Russian or it's some Soviet country, I imagine. Just because Soviet comes to mind, did it in any way lead to... It can't be. The breakup of the Soviet Union, that can't be.
Well...
Is it connected to this?
Well, you're wrong.
Okay.
But also you're quite right in a way.
Okay.
It's just that you got the country wrong.
Oh, so it is some sort of national level schism we are talking about that this man caused. That is some poetic justice is the wrong word, but yeah, something funny there. Okay, no, let's try this. Some Soviet country. Is it something Yugoslavia? I'm thinking breakup of the country there.
Well, you're there, so I have to give it to you. That's correct. So this incident led to the breakup of Yugoslavia.
See, okay, that was easy enough to guess with the clues that you gave me. But how does it connect? What?
Yeah. So this guy Martinovic was Serbian.
Oh, okay.
When he was taken to the hospital, rather than admit that he had done it to himself kind of thing.
Sure.
He was so ashamed of what he'd done because obviously he'd been doing it for some time and nobody caught him. He said that 2 Albanians came and threatened him and, shoved this up his thing to say that whatever. And he stuck to his story that Albanians threatened him. There were already historical tensions between Albanians and Serbians.
Sure, yeah, of course, yeah.
But when this became huge news, and then everybody started, there was this upswell of anger against the Albanians and then the Albanians also. So it kind of exposed all the schisms in the Yugoslavian society. And by the time there was an actual investigation into all this, and they found that he was lying and that he had done it to himself and there were no Albanians involved, it had gone way out of the Pandora's box, had already opened. And there was already a thing, and eventually in 6 years' time, 1991, the Yugoslav Federation all fell apart, all because of this guy using a bottle. Of course, there were already pre-existing tensions and things like that, but his thing became like a catalyst, or it sparked everyone saying that, how can these 2 Albanians, because Albanians were Muslims, he was Christian, all that kind of thing. Well, so that is, you have got another answer, right, Aditya? Well done.
No pun intended, but that was the beginning of the end. Right.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is ridiculous. Oh, that's funny. That's very funny. I think this is why you need comedians in society, just to point out the sheer absurdity.
Yeah.
Like, again, I have no personal dog in the fight, like Yugoslavia breaking up, whatever. That's history. Just the fact that it happened, this was a trigger point. It's just so funny and ridiculous.
Yeah, it is quite ridiculous. Also quite a thing that a small thing, I don't know, what do they call it? No, not butterfly. Again, snowball effect, I guess, is what it's called.
Snowball effect would be, yeah. Okay. This is a interesting segue because I thought initially that had to do something with the human body physiology. And perhaps I was thinking of that because my next question pertains to it. All right, let's try this. Alexis St was a Canadian voyager. He was part of the fur trading industry in 1800s, somewhere there. So we are placing him somewhere in America and Canada, somewhere in that region as well, right? He had, in 1822, a near fatal accident because of a gunshot. What major discovery did this particular incident lead to?
1820, fur trader was shot, which he didn't die from, he survived, right?
It was near fatal. For a while after that, it was touch and go. He was presumed that he would probably die because of how brutal the injury was, but he survived, yes.
And your question is, what major discovery was made because of this incident?
Yeah, and I gave the hint already that I'm talking about something to do with the human physiology. So some very basic fact of the human body was discovered because of this specific incident.
Oh, okay, a basic fact. So it was not a medical breakthrough like some sort of a treatment or something like that. It was something about the human body that was...
Right, yes, you're right, yeah.
So, I mean, okay, my first guess is that he kind of lost a lot of blood and then they tried to give him a blood transfusion and then it didn't work. So because of that, they discovered that there are different blood types, something like that.
Oh, pretty good guess. But no, this has nothing to do with nothing to do with the treatment.
Okay.
He survived. They did whatever the treatment would have been at that point of time. I'm not sure of the specifics of it. Vineet is probably the right person to tell you the specifics.
Yeah,
but they did something, whatever was probably the recommended treatment. He survived, thankfully. But there was, let's say, a post-accident complication or post-accident development that happened, which led to the discovery. And blood type was a good guess, but no, it has nothing to do with blood type or blood actually at all.
Post-treatment complication. Well, again, my guess would be something like PTSD was first documented case of PTSD.
No, this is physiological, so not psychological. It's a physiological thing. Yeah.
Right. What else? So sometime later, after his treatment was done, something happened and people discovered something about the human body because of that.
Yeah. There was one specific doctor actually. There was this man by the name of William Beaumont, who was an American Army surgeon. And he was placed at a nearby army post, and he's the one who treated him. Even though St. Martin was very young, in his early 20s, most people assume that he'd pass away. Miraculously, he pulled through after a few days of, I think, being in a coma or something like that. There was a complication, however, that happened because of his injury. Yeah, and that complication led to the discovery. Okay, so now it's a little too vague at this point. Let me help you a little bit. Okay,
give me a
the clue that I'll give you is that the near fatal accident was because of a gunshot, and the gunshot was near his torso, was on his torso. So something happened near his. Let's be more specific than that. Near his stomach. So there's something happened in his stomach. Some complication happened in his stomach, which led to a very important discovery.
Okay, something happened in his stomach. So he was shot through the stomach or near the stomach. And something happened that led to an important discovery. Interesting, but I can't think of what it could be. Okay, maybe give me another clue if possible.
All right. Yeah, I'll give you one more clue. I had said something happened. I'll give you a specific thing that happened. And again, I don't know deep your medical knowledge and understanding is.
Probably not very deep.
There was a fistula that was created. For those of the audience members who don't know what a fistula is just some sort of aberration which connects a part of the body to another part of the body that is not technically supposed to be connected. So this can happen for a variety of reasons. In this case, a fistula, or in layman's terms, it was almost as if there was an opening from his stomach that was open to the air outside, right? Like it was almost as if that was an exposed part of his stomach. So there was something in the digestion process that William Beaumont was able to perceive, notice, and experiment on. So I'm just talking about a very simple fact of the human body that he gave conclusive proof for, because he could literally see this man's stomach in action every time food went inside.
Oh, okay. So it's probably, I'm thinking it's something that nowadays is assumed and known very well, but back in the 1820s was not.
Yeah. I would imagine this would be like a 5th grade, 6th grade kind of science knowledge. Yeah. Very, very basic knowledge. Yeah.
Well, let me go with the basic one. Is it that, the stomach uses acid to digest?
Exactly. Yes. So the idea that gastric juices contain hydrochloric acid, and all of us probably remember some pH 2 is what I remember being taught, that's the pH of that acid.
Yeah.
So that acid, the idea that acid was a part of the gastric juices,
the digestive system,
had been theorized, but in the early 18th century is when a surgeon was able to see it in action. It was a little, let's say, inconsiderate towards the patient in question, as a lot of these early medical experiments were.
Yeah.
Because it sounds so brutal, because this man would literally dangle pieces of food using a thread into his mouth and then see it in action.
Oh God.
While it entered his stomach, and he would then pull it out and see how much it had been digested and stuff like that. So this poor man who was illiterate, uneducated, was being put through the ringer just for William Beaumont's intellectual curiosity.
Yeah.
As sad as that was, it did lead to important medical breakthroughs. But you were right, it was probably PTSD as well, because when he passed away, he was traumatized. He ran away at some point, and he was just like, I'm never going back there. When he passed away, his family refused to even bury him, because they were worried that people will dig him up and then conduct experiments on his body again. So they waited for his body to decompose.
Oh.
Yeah, imagine they waited for his body to start decomposing before they buried him, because they're like, you know what, let it become as unusable as possible before we give him his final goodbye. So nobody can, resurrect him, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because there were people who showed interest in that. So yeah, the idea of acid being in the stomach was from this one specific accident in the cold of Canada, America, in the fur trading post somewhere.
Right. Okay, this should be also quite workable. I'll leave out for now a key piece of information in this question and see if you can work it out without that.
Okay.
If you can't, I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
So basically, the key piece of information is the country of origin of this. I'm talking about a brand. There's a wine brand which you may have heard of, like a wine label.
Okay.
Which is called 19 Crimes. I don't know if you've already heard of it.
No, not heard of it. No.
So why is it called 19 Crimes?
I
know there's not a lot to go on, but the only thing you can go on now is I'm not telling you what country it is from, because that would be a big clue.
19 Crimes and wine. Wine, obviously, immediate response is an Italy or a France thing. But I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to say the US, because I'm thinking something to do with prohibition. Is it a wine that came up during prohibition? Crime, something like that?
Nice guess. It's something like that, but not the right country. But you're right in thinking outside of Europe. It's a country that's well known for wine growing.
Oh, okay.
But not Europe and not the US.
Oh, okay. So if it's not Europe, not US, but well known for crime. Well known for wine, but also crimes.
Maybe also for crime, possibly.
Yeah. I was the other option always is Argentina, but I'm going to go with Australia.
Okay.
Because of the whole history of criminals being sent there during the British Empire era. Is it like 19 criminals who came up with this, and they were in Australia because of their crimes, and that's the connection?
Well, you're very close. So I think, I should give it to you. Very close. It is Australia. That's correct.
Okay.
It's not 19 criminals you started, but basically, back in the day, there were a list of 19 crimes that members of the British Commonwealth or something would commit. And if they committed one of those 19 crimes, they would be sent to Australia, which was then a penal colony.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, so basically the wine label is saying that everybody, at least all the white people in Australia is there because one of their ancestors committed one of the 19 crimes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's why it's 19 crimes.
I did not know that there was a specific number of crimes that made you eligible to be deported to Australia. Okay.
Yeah. So, obviously, it's not that every crime, possibly the most severe ones, like murder and rape and things like that, those are the people who got shipped off to Australia.
I would imagine.
And maybe the pickpockets and the white collar crimes were kept back in the UK.
Yeah, I truly question the judgment of taking, quote unquote, the worst of your society. If you're taking the worst of society and shipping them off to a whole different land, like that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what was the thought process at that point? I guess you thought the world was much bigger than now we know it to be.
Yeah.
Australia probably feels like a different planet, I guess.
Yeah.
So just sending them away.
Anyway.
Oh, I love that so much. I didn't know about this specific number 19, and that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
What a fun piece of trivia, and perfect segue for me because we're talking about the British Empire, and I'm going to talk to you about somebody English. So, standard trivia question format. This person is X. Okay. X studied chemistry at Oxford University and then went on to work in industry as a research chemist. While working at J. Leon & Co., which was a British restaurant chain, food manufacturer, and a bunch of other industries that they were part of. While working there as a research chemist, X co-authored a paper which talked about the saponification of alpha-monostearin, which is glycerol monostearate. Okay, very technical, not really relevant. But that was the domain of study that X engaged in while working as a research chemist. Question is very simple. Who is X?
That's it. Okay. And you're not giving a timeline.
The paper came out in the year 1951.
1951. And you said saponification of something glycerol. So something to do with soap.
The technicalities of it really don't matter. This paper was eventually published in the Journal of Science of Food and Agriculture, which is a decently well-known science magazine.
Okay.
But the technical parts of it don't matter. X is obviously a very famous person. Would not make sense to ask you this question otherwise.
Correct. Okay, so you're saying he published in 1951. It was a scientific paper. And you're saying the actual content of that scientific paper doesn't really matter.
Yeah. There's just additional details.
My guess is Erdos, Paul Erdos. Because Paul Erdos is the guy who's published the most number of scientific papers, and all scientists have what is known as the Erdos number because it's like the Bacon number of scientists.
Yeah. How far away are you from that person?
Yeah. Okay, not him, huh?
No, my first hint would be X is not really famous for the field of science.
Oh, okay. He's not famous for the field of science. 1951, and he worked in a chemist's company.
Again, the details of that don't matter, but yes, research chemist for J. Leon & Co., the British manufacturing, food manufacturing restaurant chain.
Okay, and in whatever you've said so far, there's not much of a clue as to what field he's famous in, or is there?
I have not mentioned any field, no.
Well, then it could be anyone. 51 Britain. I'll take the obvious guess. Is this Churchill's post-war activities?
I think Churchill comes up again. It's one of those people just shows up in trivia so much.
Yeah, I know.
But no, not Churchill. And that is a clue that was not part of my listed clues, but I'll just give it to you. This is in their youth, so not like a post.
Post this. This is before they became famous. 50s, before they became famous. Well, could be a musician or something like that. Or an actor, director, could be anything actually.
No, this is where the clue might help. Where X's degree in chemistry, X's scientific background actually played a pretty significant role in the 80s in their work, because there was a huge scientific sort of a concern that was growing at that point. And X's scientific background kind of determined the direction that history would be shaped in. So that should give you a clue as to what kind of a field they would be in. Because, well, I'm sure musicians shape history, but not
like that. Shape history in the 80s. I mean, obviously we're talking about a world leader or something like that.
There you go.
Okay, so it is a world leader. 80s.
Yeah.
Well, now we have to figure out whether this is India or some other place. Oh, you said England, but it could have been an Indian studying in England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 80s England. I mean, there's only one person. It's Thatcher. Something to do with Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher was
is right?
research chemist.
Okay.
Who wrote a paper in 1951 which had to do with the saponification of whatever.
Okay.
She had studied at Oxford University chemistry.
Nice. Yeah.
So the reason that I mentioned that in 80s, when it came down to the ozone layer and people are talking about climate change and that era, she was one of the biggest proponents of it because she understood the science that was being spoken.
She understood the science. Interesting.
Unlike a lot of leaders who probably need it translated for them, she understood the science of it. She apparently also behind the scenes played a big role in convincing Reagan also to come on board and the other world leaders to come on board, because she was kind of that bridge between the scientific community and politics, because she had foot in both. So yeah, I had no idea Margaret Thatcher was a research chemist.
Yeah, this is a surprise to me also. I didn't know. Yeah.
And she had a published paper.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing fact. Yeah.
All right. And by the way, you kept saying he. I had deliberately avoided mentioning the gender.
Yeah. I kind of assumed, which is possibly not a great assumption, but yeah, somehow.
Always the Achilles heel that we fall, that we are prey to, where we assume the gender somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been a prey to this also, because Vineet has pulled this on me, where he just didn't mention the gender, and again, the inherent patriarchy in all of us, we just assume it's a man, and then we find out
that's true.
Women have also done important
stuff. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, so shall I go with one then?
Please.
Okay, here's one. Should be reasonably easy to guess or figure out. I don't know if you have seen. I had frankly not noticed, but once I read an article about this, and then I looked around, and there is apparently a lot of stuff going around on this subject. So there is an urban myth, a belief that's spread on TikTok, and it's recent.
Okay.
That a certain practice, common household practice, affects the efficiency of a refrigerator and results in increased energy consumption. There's this myth everywhere.
Okay.
It has become so widespread that last year, the German appliances manufacturer Bosch, they decided to step in, and they actually appointed a team from the University of Zaragoza to study this supposed phenomenon properly, scientifically.
Okay.
And give the kind of the result at the end of it. And I think after a few months or whatever, they actually came out with their findings.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finally published that there was no physical mechanism by which the practice that is being referred to could cause increased energy use. And even if there were, the forces involved would be so weak as to have very little impact. So what is this urban myth, or what do many people believe causes fridges to consume more energy?
Interesting. And Bosch had to come
Which has been debunked by Bosch, basically, yeah.
Okay, I'll try the most obvious guess first. It's the repeated opening, but that seems logical. Of course, that would affect the energy consumption. But yeah, does it have anything to do with opening the door multiple times or something like that, or extended periods of opening the door?
No, that would be logical, but so that would actually cause energy loss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you open the door or leave it open,
Yeah.
then it would actually cause energy loss. So that's a good guess since we are talking about fridges, but that's not what people believe.
Exactly. And it has to be debunked. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Well, it's a fridge. So then the next obvious guess, which could potentially be an urban legend, would be placing a certain kind of object or a certain food item inside, which would, quote unquote, leach the energy too much. Like, is it like I don't know, the top of my head, like milk, right? If you place milk, it sucks up too much energy. I'm just...
Okay. That's also not a bad guess, like saying that, okay, some food items consume more electricity, but not the correct answer again in this case.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. Okay, now I think I'll need a hint. Do you have any hint for me?
Okay, so I'll give you a hint. It's nothing to do with what you place inside.
I figured that would be very obvious, so probably not that. Okay. Then the next guess goes, because I know I do this and my mom loves doing it. Is it fridge magnets?
That is correct. Well done. I think everybody does it. So there is this myth. There is this myth that placing fridge magnets, because it's got magnets and this magnet, they say it weakens this because the door is also magnetic, right? So they say that it weakens the seal. And it does, I don't know whatever, you just check out this, all these videos on YouTube and TikTok, which, where people will explain in great detail as to why the fridge magnet should not be placed on a fridge. So that is the correct answer, but of course debunked by Bosch. So placing fridge magnets on a fridge has no effect on energy consumption or anything to do with fridge itself.
Okay.
Well done, Aditya.
Fantastic. Oh, wow. That is, it's one of those things where it might make some sense especially if you show me some false, scientific proof to it. I might buy into it also. It's like, yeah, maybe it makes some sense over there. So I can see why people would fall prey to this urban legend.
Yeah. So from what I see, it sounds pseudoscientific, and I think the main case that these people make is that the fridge magnets have an opposing kind of effect to the door magnets. So the door seal is opened up a little and the energy leaks out and things like that. But obviously it can't happen.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so cool. And the idea that fridge magnets would affect it makes so much sense that people would believe that.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. And on that note of fridge magnet, I think we are at the end of the episode. That has been I like it. This was probably the most trivia dense episode we have done, at least in a while.
Is it? Okay.
I'll tell you what you said at the beginning makes sense, right? Where we are both trying to make sure that the other person doesn't immediately get it. So we come up with very convoluted questions and we go down like random roads.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's fun because then it takes the other person like easily like 5-6 minutes to figure it out.
Okay.
On the edit that becomes slightly shorter. But yeah, with a new person, it's like you know what? I'm just going to throw fun trivia out there. If you get it immediately, so be it.
Yeah.
So, it's been a trivia dense episode. I love it. And on that note, I'm going to end with the audience question. So, Rajiv, tell me, do you know what reward did the UP government offer at 2019 that was offered to the police department of the state?
So, you're asking what reward, and you're not saying for what?
Rather, what was being rewarded?
What was being rewarded?
Yeah, that's a better way to phrase it. What was being rewarded?
2019. Well, my guess would be to have less kids or something like that. Well, that's the usual thing that people are with. UP needs to control their population and all that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I think government policies, and population control very common. But no, this and I would imagine that would also be like maybe they'll try it across the government, all employees.
Was it specifically to the cops? Okay.
Cops, yeah.
I cannot think, and specifically UP. Well, could be because, the cops have this reputation of being pot-bellied and overweight and stuff like that. So is it a reward for them to stay fit and exercise?
You're very close with the physical appearance angle to things. And again, I think I'm falling prey to my this is the thing that I mentioned about the patriarchy thing. I should specify because there are also women who are cops. So this was a reward that was specifically offered only to men. That could only be availed by men.
Oh, so was it to be clean shaven or something, not to have a beard or mustache?
I'll have to give it to you. I'll have to give it to you because it was actually the very opposite of it.
Oh, for keeping a mustache.
They were rewarded for sporting a heavy mustache, a very impressive big mustache.
Okay, interesting.
So the idea of it being authoritative and it being impressive, whatever the logic was, they were giving a monthly reward, a monthly allowance to people who sported a very impressive mustache.
Right.
Especially if you're a little lower on the rungs of the ladder. That money was important, obviously. So, yeah, there was an incentive from the UP government for the men in the police force to grow impressive mustaches, a monetary reward for that.
Amazing, yeah.
So, UP government offered that reward. And the last part of our trivia, which is the social media audience question. This will be posted on our Instagram and on our Reddit. So, it is meant for you to go check it out, dear listener. See if you can take a crack at it. The first person who gets this one right will be given a shout out in the next episode. So some bragging rights. I'm not sure who you'll brag about this to, but go for it. And the question is, as usual, a visual question. In this case, it is a document issued by the United States government. It's a United States patent document. The patent number is 5255452 and the date of the patent is October 26th, 1993. There is a visual description of what the patent is for. There is also a textual description. The name of the person who this was awarded to has been blanked out, and that is the question. Identify who filed this particular patent and who was this patent awarded to. Go for it, give it a crack. All right, that is the end of the trivia. As always, we wrap up with some pop culture recommendations. So Rajiv, I'll let you go first. Do you have any pop culture recommendation? Anything you have read, anything you've seen, any music, literally whatever catches your fancy, whatever has caught your fancy in the recent past?
Off the top of my head, the only thing enjoyable I've watched Michael a couple of days back, which was enjoyable, but it was a very sanitized version of Michael, as you may have figured it also.
Agreed.
It was just a feel-good Michael, which apparently, because it was all produced and directed and written by the family, what you could expect. So that's not a recommended. But I did watch Devil Wears Prada, the second part, and I was surprised by how enjoyable it was actually.
Okay.
And also, I of course, the first one was 20 years ago, so I don't really remember what I felt about it. But I didn't expect to enjoy the second part, and I did. Because I think they bridged the 20-year gap quite well.
Okay.
And they also made it relevant to 2026. And it was just a good film in the sense it was fast-paced, it was witty, it had a reasonable plot. Good performance. Meryl Streep. Can't go wrong with Meryl Streep. So that would be my pop culture recommendation to go and watch while it's still in the theater, I guess. Or whatever, on OTT.
I actually realized because you're a guest, so you don't have to do this every week. So even if you have something from the past that you love, that you think most people have not watched or read, but you think they absolutely must, you can recommend that also if you want.
I mean, there's a lot of music. There's a lot of music that is lovely, and
give us some music recommendation.
I'm pretty eclectic in what I listen to, and one of the recent bands that I've listened to a lot and which I like a lot is a band called Wet Leg.
Okay.
They're very edgy and it sounds great, and the lyrics are great, and also you can't describe music, so people should check out Wet Leg.
I love the name already, so yeah, I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, they're a British band they're from the Isle of Man, or one of those Isle of Wight, I think they're from Isle of Wight. It's got a very kick-ass front woman who writes and performs and things like that, and very nice lyrics and stuff like that, so check it out if that kind of thing floats your boat.
Okay. Fantastic. So we have a topical recommendation of Devil Wears Prada 2, and we have a music recommendation of Wet Leg. So people go ahead and indulge in that. From my side, I'll do something I watched recently. I watched two films recently. The first one was Totally Killer. both these films fall into this category of just farcical horror and brutality. So it's comedy, but also it has gore attached to it.
Okay.
And not too gory in case that makes you squeamish. So it's not too gory, but a little bit of gore, but on the comedy side of things. So yeah, the first one was totally killer. It's funny, it's irreverent. It's just a movie that somebody recommended to me, and I was like, let's check it out. Turned out to be quite fun.
Okay.
The other one that I think was popular when it came out, I only watched it 13 years later, and that is This Is the End. It's one of those brat pack comedies where like you have those very familiar faces of Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, Jay Baruchel, I think that's how it's pronounced, his name, James Franco, and it's a bunch of these men doing stupid stuff, and it's funny because they're also playing fictional versions of themselves.
Okay.
Again, a light watch for a day where you don't want to watch something too intense. These two movies are good options. So I watched these recently, and these are my pop culture recommendations for the week.
Okay, I shall definitely check those out. I must admit, I haven't even heard of those films. This Is the End I might have remotely heard of, but not totally killer. That's how old would that movie be?
Totally Killer is a recent movie, 2023, and it's a ridiculous name for a film. Like, and you watch the film and I don't know, I just didn't understand why it was called Totally Killer. It's almost as if like a working title was never changed. Like they were using that as a working title and they went ahead and used it. Right?
Oh, okay.
So it has some fun elements of like this a whole slasher genre of this crazy killer chasing young women, trying to murder them.
Uh-huh.
But it's also in a 2023 way, it's empowering also because they fight back and of course eventually they win. So that's a fun element to it. It's a time pass film. Don't expect anything grandiose from it, but it's a fun watch.
No, time pass is good. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you need that sometimes in life. All right. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much, Rajiv, for coming back, and hopefully we'll see you again, and that next time with Vineet on board, since I'm sure he's going to be really jealous that I got to do this episode without him.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Aditya. As usual, like the first time, it's been great fun, and it's always nice, the banter, and I like the kind of relaxed atmosphere in which you and Vineet do these. Unfortunately, Vineet couldn't be here, but I think we had a reasonably good time without him, so I have no complaints.
I enjoyed it, yes. So, no complaints at all. But hey, Vineet, next time show up.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh no, I forgot to record the smack. Okay. We'll have to add it in post.